Here are the cards to consider upgrading the Ruinous Powers Commander deck. Our commander is Abaddon the Despoiler. For 2 blue-black red, it's a 5/5 Astartes Warrior. It has Trample, and during your turn, spells you cast from your hand with mana value X or less have Cascade, where X is the total amount of life your opponents have lost this turn. So let's talk about the free spells that we can get off of this with cards like Ancestral Vision, Inevitable Betrayal, and Wheel of Fortune. These have a 0 CMC for each of these, so while we can't cast it from our hand, we can suspend them, but if we Cascade into them, these have a 0 CMC cost to them. So let's talk about them. Ancestral Vision lets target player draw 3 cards. Inevitable Betrayal, we get to search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that onto our battlefield under our control. In Wheel of Fate, each player has to discard their hand and then draw 7 cards. Very powerful stuff for 0 CMC. Next, we're talking about Loyal Subordinate and Tectonic Giant. So at the beginning of combat, Loyal Subordinate is going to deal 3 damage to each opponent, so that's 9 life if we control our commander. Tectonic Giant, so whenever this attacks or becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, this will deal 3 damage to each opponent, or we can exile the top 2 of our library, and we can choose one of them, and until our next turn we can play that card. But for this scenario, we're going to stick with dealing 3 damage to each opponent. So that's 9 life that our opponents could be losing in total, and that's going to hit a lot of spells off of our commander. Keane Duelist. At the beginning of our upkeep, you and target opponent each reveal the top card of your library. Each of you lose life equal to the mana value of the card revealed by the other player. You each put the card you revealed into your hand. So not only are we getting another card into our hand besides the card we're going to draw the next step, but hopefully we're going to have a bigger mana cost card to hit our opponents with. Dusk, Mantle, Seer. At the beginning of our upkeep, each player reveals the top card of their library and loses life equal to the converted mana cost and then puts that into our hand. So another great way to be putting cards into our hand and loss of life. Palace Siege. When it enters the battlefield, we'll choose cons or dragons, but we're going to focus on dragons. So at the beginning of our upkeep, each opponent loses 2 life and we gain 2. So that's a total of 6 life lost, and a great budget card for the deck. Court of Ambition. So when it enters the battlefield, we're going to become the Monarch, which is going to give us a card to draw at our end step, as long as we're the Monarch. And at the beginning of our upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. If you're the Monarch, instead, each opponent loses 6 life and they discard 2 cards. So we're either going to get 9 life off of this or 18. Very powerful card right here. The last card we're talking about is now Fenchy. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. If it's a permanent spell, the copy gains haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this permanent. This is going to be really good for us because whatever permanent we're cascading into, we now get a copy of it. So if it's a creature, it gains haste, we can attack with it, and we will lose the copy at our end step, which is completely fine. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want any of these cards, they're going to be in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you're going to love this one right here. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.